write in the chat box, raise your hand, and mute and unmute to speak, please, and thank you. So before we get started, we would like to share the land acknowledgement. I'm going to pass this on to Robert.
We begin by acknowledging that the land in which we gather, that we know as Peel, on which many of us currently reside, is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous peoples inhabited and cared for this land. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, and Haudenosaunee, Ojibwe Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. So, how VolX, our virtual volunteer expo, was created in collaboration with the following event partners: WCG Services, Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies, and Volunteer MBC. Thank you for all the hard work to get here today. So a little bit about VolX. So a collaborative partnership was formed to help gather more insight on how skilled volunteers can help organizations target individuals who are seeking to improve their employability, share how volunteerism can elevate skills and employability, and support learning about how to volunteer for Peel organizations. Some themes developed for VolX was learning, and the importance of volunteering in different community service subsectors, and how helping bring community members to fill some gaps, as well as growing, elevating skills, and fueling employability through volunteerism, and to get involved. Find out how you can help organizations with your skills and learn about available volunteer positions. So before we introduce one of our first event partners, feel free for anybody who would like to share on social media about today's event. Right at the bottom of the slide, our hashtags is VolX 2021. So feel free to share. I would like to introduce our first event partner to speak is Henry and Ty Moore from WCG Services. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alyssa, and hello, everybody. My name is Taimur Khanzada, and I'm representing WCG Services at this event. I'm an employment consultant for WCG Services Brampton site, and I welcome you all to this event. And I would like to take a moment to thank Sean and his team for putting together a great event like VolX. And my expectation is that the audience will walk out of this event with a more thorough understanding and importance of volunteerism. In fact, I'd like to share my opinion regarding volunteerism as well. In my opinion, I believe that it's a fast-track opportunity to integrate to a community. And as we all know, Canada is a very diverse country. The community in Canada comprises of people representing different cultures, speaking different languages, especially the GTA. And especially if you're a newcomer to the country, it's very critical for you to integrate into this community. And not for everyone, but from my experience as well, not so long ago when I came to Canada, usually newcomers coming to Canada, they carry a sense of anxiety and they have a sense of reluctance. And immigration itself is a huge life disruptive event in itself. So luckily for me, in my opinion, I got an opportunity to actually volunteer for Habitat for Humanity GTA North York. And here I am talking about anxiety and reluctance. And my very first day at volunteering, I was handed a spreadsheet with about 50 names and numbers to call and return messages who had left for the restore. So with sweaty hands and a dry throat, I picked up the phone and started making those calls. 3 months down the line, after completing my volunteering, I walked out with a greater sense of confidence. I built some great connections over there that I'm still in touch with. And I gained some valuable professional experience that actually helped me in landing a job. And I learned new set of skills, such as the commendable ERP Salesforce. So volunteering, it's not just putting your skills to a great cause. Obviously, that's there, and there is a sense of fulfillment. But other than that, the volunteer itself reaps the benefits of learning new skills, gaining experience, and building a network. Coming back to WCG Services, so WCG Services is part of the APM group, which is based out of Australia. You don't have to bother about what these names stand for, because actually these names don't really mean anything now. They're just acronyms, because initially these organizations, the purpose that they started off with, they've grown out of their meaning, they've grown out of their presence, and now in reality, it's just the acronym that stands there. For instance, we've all heard of YMCA. It started off as Young Men's Christian Association, but the meaning is a lot more than that. So the APM group is based out of Australia, and they have a presence in globally, actually. They're present in the UK, the US, Germany, Spain, North Korea, and in Canada, their footprint exists by the name of WCG Services, which started off 25 years ago from Victoria, BC. We are fairly new to Ontario. We started off in January 2021, and that resulted as part of the Government of Ontario's initiative in revamping the employment services model. So the government has introduced a prototype model in 3 regions for now, Peel region being one, Hamilton and Niagara being the second region, and Muskoka and Kawarthas being the third region. And the idea is that they'll evaluate the performance of this prototype model and eventually implement it over entire Ontario to build a more skilled workforce for Ontario. So what's different from the past is that previously all different in-scope employment programs and streams have been integrated into one integrated employment service delivery program that is being referred to as Employment Ontario. You can see the logo at the bottom of the slide. And WCG Services, because of their expertise in association with the APM group, as APM has been in the global employment services space for a very long time, we have been given the opportunity to administer and manage the Employment Ontario program in the Peel region. And at the end of this presentation, I would encourage you all to take a note of our contact details. We have 2 sites, one based in Mississauga and one based in Brampton. Please feel free to reach out to us to learn more about this program and participate in this program. So it's essentially a government-funded program. It's a government program, but WCG is running it because of our expertise in the employment services space. Because of time limitations, I would not delve into extensive details of the program, but just to cover a few key features. So WCG Services is playing a pivotal role in creating sustainable employment opportunities for businesses, social assistance clients, job seekers, and the community of Peel in general. So some of the benefits to offer of this program: for the businesses and employers, at no cost to them, we provide access to job-ready candidates. We do most of the pre-employment screening ourselves. We provide employers with access to wage subsidies offered by the government through this program. And with all the resources and time spent in hiring these prospective employees, we help these employers retain the human capital for a period of at least 12 months or more. Likewise, for the job seekers, and my expectation is that participants of this session, I invite them to enroll in this program. And the beauty of it is that while you explore volunteering opportunities, it would be great advantage to the team at WCG Services to leverage your time and experience as a volunteer to your pathway to attaining employment. So our trained staff and the team of employment consultants can provide you with one-on-one career planning. We make personalized employment action plans for our clients. You'll have an access to a huge range of in-house workshops that we have for our clients. Not only that, we partner with external organizations like Accenture to provide you access to a library of whole different set of courses to add to your knowledge base. WCG Services has an ever-growing network of community partners that we can make referrals to for the services or resources a client may need in their particular situation. And likewise, we help with the retention piece. So the intent is not just to get you a job, but to help you keep a job and grow up the career ladder. The kind of clients that we serve. So our clients, and when I use the term client, I mean the job seekers that enroll in this program. So those groups include people that are unemployed or underemployed. It includes Indigenous persons, youth with high support needs, newcomers to Canada, client referrals coming from the Ontario Disability Support Program and Ontario Works, general public that self-identifies as a person with disability, and Francophone clients. I would quickly touch upon the eligibility criteria for participation. So in order to be eligible to participate into this program, one should be a resident of Ontario. You should be legally entitled to work in Canada, so you should have a work permit. You should not be enrolled full-time in any training or education, but part-time students can qualify to participate in the program. And you should not be unemployed or someone who's underemployed, meaning working less than 20 hours, or perhaps you have credentials or qualifications for a better career job, but for some reason you're holding a survival job at the moment. And that happens a lot with newcomers coming into Canada who somehow are unable to connect with professional career opportunities, referring to their experience from their past countries. So if you are struggling in such a situation, we can definitely help you with that. With that being said, I'll pass on the floor to my colleague Henry to continue with the remaining of the presentation. Over to you, Henry.
All right. Thank you, Taimo. My name is Henry. I'm also an employment consultant at WCG. Thank you, Shan, and your team, Lisa. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. All right. So picking from where Taimo stopped, I'm going to talk about how we welcome our clients. What we first have is an initial appointment, and where clients are required to bring in their government-issued ID. It could be your driver's license or a passport or a health card, and also your SIN number. Why we actually ask for an SIN number is because in a situation where we work on that government platforms, we would like to find out with your SIN if you are receiving service from another service provider, so that we don't need to have a conflict. All right, next slide. All right, so also we provide job search tools and support, which include soft skills development, job readiness support, planning and budgeting, resume development and review, which everyone always go through. We always sort of try to build your resume to be employment ready and to be accessible by the employer. We also give interview support, where we prepare our clients on how to prepare for an interview, appear in an interview, and also go through interview questions with them. We also give information, sort of the labor market information research, essential skills assessment and training, job description skills comparison, job search training and workshops, and connecting clients with hiring employers, which is one of our basic duties. Next slide, please. All right, we also connect our employer clients with opportunities, as well as our employee clients with opportunities. We provide clients with up-to-date employment opportunities via relevant job boards. We facilitate interviews and informational meetings between clients and relevant employers. And we also source jobs from the hidden job market, so clients are not in competition with the general public. Also, we provide, so one of the services we provide in-house is this: we create an employment action plan once you become a client. And in this action plan, we find out where your strength lies, according to your skills and experiences. And also, when you get a job, we also provide check-in meetings. We call this retention support. We have a retention specialist in all our sites that go through check-in meetings in a period of 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, and upwards of 12 months. We also provide career development and other additional support that may support you in retaining your job. We also provide self-directed online tools to our clients. Right, finally, here is our address in our Mississauga site and Brampton. This is our phone number and our email address. Our Mississauga site is at our Brampton site is at 134 Main Street, and our Mississauga site is at. Tamo, can you remind me of that Mississauga site, please?
I mean, you're talking about the address?
Yeah.
You can simply refer to the address. You can visit our website and you can easily locate the address for the Mississauga site and the Brampton site.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Sean, for this opportunity. We look forward to getting many clients from this program. Volunteering is quite an opportunity. Myself too, I went through volunteer with Catholic Cross Cultural Services when I came in here in 2019. From there, I built a base in social services and employment support. And from there, I joined WCG. So I see a volunteer as an opportunity for not only students, but also newcomers to gain a foot in employment while in Canada. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you, everyone. And should you have any queries, feel free to reach out to us after the event as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Henry and Timur. That was a great presentation and sharing of all the services available at WCG. Thank you so much. Now we'd like to pass on the floor to Ashley from Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Just bear with me 2 seconds while I share my screen. I'm hoping everyone can see that. If you can't, just give me a flag and we will go from there. Again, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate you carving out some time for Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies within this presentation. As I did put in the chat, I do actually have quite a passion for volunteering and education. I believe they're directly correlated with each other. And in my past, I've actually have some volunteer experience with Healthy Minds Canada and a large variety of different mental health resources that they have. And I can say from personal experience, just volunteering within my community not only gave me kind of a sense of purpose in terms of contributing to something a little bit larger than myself, but it also helped work on a lot of invaluable skills that I continue to utilize in my job here today. So I think there is a very large need for volunteering in the community. So very, very briefly, I'm going to discuss Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies and how education can fit into your volunteering journey. So before we even get into how education can fit into your specific needs, we should give you probably a snapshot of who we are. So Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies is a department within Sheridan College, and we are kind of sometimes known as part-time studies or the night school, in which that we offer part-time education in the form, specifically in the form of reskilling, upskilling, perhaps a second career, or obtaining that Canadian credential. So it's the perfect place for, let's say, newcomers to Canada. If you're looking to kind of get your foot in the door, if you're looking for that Canadian credential to put on your resume, this is an excellent place to start from. We have 2 easy campus access in Mississauga and Brampton, but I will preface that by saying that we are currently a virtual and online environment only. So any courses or programs that you do take with us in the meantime will be conducted in a virtual and online manner. But when we are back on campus, you can easily pop into either our campuses at Mississauga or Brampton and speak to one of our experts. We offer flexible delivery to fit into a flexible lifestyle. So we know that the majority of our students, they might work 9 to 5, they have families, they have other commitments that they have to adhere to. So we offer education that can fit into your very specific needs and requirements. So the majority of our courses will always start in the night, so anytime after 6:30 p.m., which means you have enough time to come home, have dinner before you actually have to participate in your course. And that also means that you can continue to work, or let's say in this case, volunteer while you are taking the different education options available to you. We have an opportunity center that is very, very unique to Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies, and it's designed specifically with the student experience and student excellence in mind. And they are going to help you through every single step of your journey. So everything from choosing your courses, finding out different program pathways, maybe inquiring about different jobs that might be available after you take the courses, planning your timetable, etc. They can help you with any and all related questions. So it's an additional layer of support available to our students during their academic journey. We offer a wide variety of different credential types as well. So everything from certificates to micro credentials, recognitions of achievement, and more. And they kind of vary in terms of how many courses that are part of those different types of credentials, but essentially you can pick the credential that best speaks to you. So if you're looking to obtain that second career or Canadian credential option, perhaps a certificate would be best. If you're just looking for simple upskilling, reskilling, a micro credential would be perfect. So we have these large kind of variety of different flexible options available to you to kind of fit into your life and your resume. And lastly, we have over 400 unique courses to choose from. So that means that there's probably most likely an academic program that will fit into your very specific desires. So in relation to this presentation here today, and essentially what we're here for, which is the VolX, where does Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies fit in? And how I view it is kind of as a wheel that all feeds into each other. So the first pillar that I rely upon is gaining that Canadian experience. So if you're new to Canada, Sheridan CAPS courses can help you gain a Canadian credential to add to your already impressive resume, which kind of feeds into the need to continuously upskill and reskill to keep your skills and experience modern for the times that we're in. So you can connect with Sheridan CAPS courses to find additional ways to upskill and reskill in areas that are of interest to you. So I always use the example of, let's say, information technology. We know that changes quite rapidly. So to keep yourself current and within the market and to keep your resume up to date, having those continuous courses to upskill and reskill in those areas might be a benefit to you. And then lastly, volunteering and community services. So you can gain Canadian experience within the workforce by volunteering within your community or exploring new areas of interest. So I always recommend to students taking our course, volunteering is an excellent way to kind of test the waters in a new field. So perhaps if you've, worked in accounting all your life, but now you have a real passion for healthcare, volunteering in the healthcare community can kind of test the waters and ensure that this is the right pathway for you. And further, connecting with the right services to kind of help get your foot in the door. So myself, my predecessors, WCG, so connecting with the right services to kind of get your foot in the door in terms of volunteering. And then again, it just kind of goes around again, gaining Canadian experience, upskilling, reskilling. So it's kind of a wheel that is always moving. So what types of programming do we offer? So we have, as I mentioned, a wide variety of different programming options, but I've included some kind of popular areas of interest and areas that have the opportunity for growth, but also have that experience through volunteering. So everything from human resource management, project management, medical office clerk, office admin, payroll specialist, and much, much more on our website, and these are all hyperlinked, and I'm happy to send this presentation at the end of this expo. These are all hyperlinked to our website, so you can browse our website, kind of see what's of interest to you. You can browse by area of interest, you can browse by credential types. It's kind of a fun way to see what speaks to you and where you want to go in your volunteering and educational journey. So I didn't want to take up too much time today. I wanted just to ensure that we cover the basics. But if you have any questions about how education can kind of fit into your volunteering journey, or if you have any questions about our programs and offerings, We do have all of our contact information available here. So by email, you can email us. By phone is a unique one. So all of our agents that work in our Opportunity Center are bilingual. So if you're more comfortable speaking in your preferred language of choosing, you can give us a call on the line direct on the phone number provided here, and you can speak to someone in your preferred language, or you can send us a message over social media if you're more comfortable over social media. And the last slide that I wanted to share here today is that if you want to stay updated with what's happening at Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies, maybe new courses, new credentials, events such as this, you can join our mailing list. And our mailing list will go out to you a couple times a year, just keeping you updated on what's happening and how... Sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. And how education and continuing education can continue to work for your specific personal and professional development needs. So that's it for me. So I will hand it back and stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for your presentation and for sharing. Before we continue, there are some questions in the chat, and we'd like to give every participant a chance to ask some questions. So just gonna go up. I'll start with some questions I think are for you, Ashley. Is which credential would you say is more in demand by employers?
So it is a good question. How I normally phrase this to students is always try and find a different credential that you're interested in. So the programs that I listed on the slide before, human resource management, project management, medical office clerk, those are some of our very, very popular programming where we have a wide kind of, we have a wide knowledge of that students have gone on to be successful in those industries. So anything that is a certificate or micro credentials, those are very popular areas of interest. But I always want to tell the student, try to find something that you're passionate about. So if, let's say, you're passionate about the healthcare industry, as I mentioned, pursuing healthcare is never going to be a mistake. Or if you're passionate about helping people, then perhaps human resources is for you. But I would drill it down a little bit differently and just say, try to find something that is passionate for you. But all of our programming does have a track record of proven success for students going on to look for jobs.
Awesome, thank you. Another question, someone commented, it's a bit of a mix. I am studying micro-credential as a medical office clerk, so could they volunteer in the medical field?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. So the medical office clerk, I can speak to it very, very quickly. It does set you up for working within a healthcare environment. The 3 courses are designed to help you work, let's say, in a doctor's office, in a hospital, in a community center, within a long-term care society. So you will be given those skills needed to work in healthcare settings such as that. In the meantime, if you're interested, let's say, in getting that experience, that real world experience, absolutely, I don't see an issue why you couldn't volunteer in those types of settings while you're pursuing your education.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then there is still a question in the chat, I believe for Henry and Timur. Do you give access to ATS like JobScan?
Please, can you repeat the question again, please?
Sorry, just give me 1 second. Do you give access to ATS like JobScan?
Okay, JobScan, ATS, like it's about resume check, right? Yeah, we do not give access as such, but we always develop our resumes according to what employers need. And we have experienced employment consultants and also specialists who handle resume development and building, and they all build resume according to what the job requires.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there any other questions for either Henry and Timur or Ashley from Sheridan Caps before we continue?
So I did see a question from Patricia, which was, is it possible through Sheridan Continuing and Professional Studies to find volunteer opportunities. And while I did respond in the chat, I can respond verbally for anyone who doesn't have access. So while we don't help you find volunteer opportunities directly, we partner with expos like this to kind of help you find opportunities within your community. So this is where kind of that partnership between us and, VolX really comes into play.
Thank you so much. Another question, what are the volunteering opportunities are available in supply chain management?
So it is an excellent question. I'm not sure if it would be one for me. I can only speak to the education side of supply chain management, but supply chain management is a very large field. Supply chains essentially run our world, so they're everything from shipping, receiving, transportation, getting goods into stores. So I think we see the importance of it right now during the ongoing pandemic, how important supply chain management is. So in terms of what types of volunteer options are available there, it might be best to connect with someone in the volunteer industry to kind of cherry pick that for you. But I do know that they do exist, yes.
Thank you. All right. Definitely, if anyone else has questions, continue to write them in the chat box and we can always pause after and go back to them. So now we're going to move on to another event partner, Volunteer MBC. So I'm going to introduce myself, Alyssa. I'm a support in the community engagement, and my colleagues, Sean and Robert. And we're going to just talk about Volunteer MBC. So who are we? Volunteer MBC fuels purposeful connections between people to respond to the most pressing social issues in our community. And why we exist is to improve lives through volunteerism. A little bit about Volunteer MBC is a registered charity active since 2008, serving Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. Is an active member of the Ontario Volunteer Centre Network and Volunteer Canada. We have a collective comprised of a member base of over 200 nonprofit organizations in Peel. And we are a service provider mobilizing thousands of volunteers to the causes that need them. We are a capacity builder via volunteer management and learning services for nonprofits, and a champion in bringing together residents and organizations around shared values. What do we do? Well, we connect and contribute. We facilitate meaningful volunteer involvement. We want to connect people to the causes that need them and enable improved volunteer recruitment and engagement. We work to inform and inspire. We promote and celebrate the power of volunteerism. We raise awareness of community needs and assets. And we recognize excellence to thank volunteers, inspire others, like, for example, our V-Oscars. We educate and enhance. We strengthen organizational effectiveness and strategy by training boards and staff to be effective and efficient and bring organizations together to share resources and collaborate. And we want to assemble and activate. We bring people together to make a positive difference. So, with the ongoing pandemic, these are some ways that we wanted to support the community by providing ways for organizations and essential services to collaborate and share resources, implementing an emergency plan to quickly deploy volunteers to where they were needed most, providing training to protect volunteers and vulnerable populations in essential services, and developing virtual volunteer roles to allow people to help out even when physically distanced. We're a multi-sided platform. We're inspiring community volunteerism. We help with some benefits of skills and employability, health and well-being, and community belonging are some ways volunteers feel the benefits of volunteerism. And also on an organizational level, we enhance the capacity of organizations by strengthening volunteer involvement and strategic partnerships. We need your time and skills. At Volunteer MBC, You can create your own volunteer profile at www.volunteermbc.org. And this is where you can search for volunteer opportunities and apply to positions in one click. And to learn more about this, I'm going to pass this on to Robert. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you very much. I'm a little hobbled right now because I'm on my phone due to connectivity issues otherwise. But yes, Alyssa, you've basically summarized it very, very succinctly. In terms of volunteering, we are the facilitators. We are Peel's only volunteer center, and we marry where we connect willing and aspiring volunteers, and you don't have to have had any volunteering experience, to meaningful volunteering opportunities for you. And in turn, it's a win-win situation, because when you volunteer and offer your skills and your talent and your experience, and above all, your passion and enthusiasm and commitment, volunteer organization, at least the community service organization, that takes you in for an engagement. It could be a simple event, or it could be a lengthy relationship. It could that could last anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. And for example, if you're big brothers, big sisters, it's 1 year. But all the time, everybody is learning. They're learning on, to use that lovely expression, they're learning on the job. In terms of, this is our website, as I see, and the way we do this is you create a profile, and the profile is confidential. It is no cost to you, and you create a username and you log in. You also have, and you don't really need to be, shall we say, a client of Volunteer MBC in creating a profile. There is a search engine on the website. I want to volunteer. It's headed. And this is an example of what happens when you use that search engine, and you just go through the steps. You'll almost immediately understand, again, where we're coming from. The key area is areas of interest. And those areas of interest are married to the areas of interest that, or types of activities that a particular volunteer position would be involved with. And we have software known as Volunteer Attract, who makes that automatic connection. We also have volunteers known as volunteer engagement advisors in cases where you would ask for an assisted search, and we encourage you to do so and indicate that when you create a profile. And these volunteer engagement advisors will look at the suggestions by Volunteer Attract, but they, in all likelihood, will add to them, because they'll know your profile. They'll take into account aspects of your profile that the software doesn't take into account. And I see here, there's a slide that says apply now. That is the one button, this sort of feature that Alyssa referred to in the introductory slide. This is all part of our facilitation. We like to think ultimately that Volunteer MBC will provide what we call a one-stop shopping experience for volunteering opportunities. And that's why an arrow is pointing right at apply now. You have a profile and you're looking at this volunteering opportunity or posting, and you're curious, you like it, you find it hopefully attractive. You can just take your mouse and click on apply now, and your name, contact information, and importantly, if your resume, if you've uploaded it into your profile, will be sent to the community service organization that has posted this opportunity on a confidential basis. And one of our major emphases in terms of the volunteering relationship is to make sure that community service organization, who is a member of Volunteer MBC, connects with you. Because if you haven't heard from them, you can call, you can tell us, you can advise us, and we will give them a gentle prompt. And I have the next slide. Now, in terms of featured opportunities, I have listed 4 here because, shall we say, paying heed to the theme of this conference. And for our volunteer website developer, volunteer city photographer, childcare volunteer, and board treasurer. And I just want to speak very briefly about them because, quite frankly, I know them inside and out. Think about this. A volunteer website developer involves a volunteer who obviously has skills in IT. But the interesting thing about this position is, and it has just been refreshed with Connect for Life. And by the way, Connect for Life deals with persons with disabilities and trying to make, I guess you could say, for lack of a better, the world more accessible to those who have impairments and disabilities. And here, what they're looking for is they're looking for not just a website developer. They're looking for a website developer with knowledge, education, and skills that will develop and further their website so that people with impairments such as visual or auditory will be able to access the internet and in particular their website. Now that's a pretty unique skill set, but they're confident that they can attract someone who has those skills. And I tell you, if I were an IT person and a website developer with any experience, I would find this really challenging and I would be curious. Volunteer city photographer is fairly straightforward. It's the first I've ever run across in terms of using someone's photographic talents. But once again, being a good photographer, sure, it takes a bit of talent, but it takes a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge and a certain way. You have to have a certain way of doing things, and certainly an understanding of from the actual act of shooting a landmark, for example, to making sure that when it appears on a website or elsewhere, it looks lovely. It's exactly what the organization wants. Childcare volunteer, Nanny Angel has historically helped mothers who are having cancer by helping their families. This is a fairly high-skilled opportunity. You have to have a background in childhood education and at least 1 year experience. And even students or persons specializing in that area could qualify, but it's not an entry-level volunteering opportunity by any means. The last one is board treasurer. It almost speaks for itself. And of course, the key here is a financial background. And you don't actually have to have a professional designation, although it's, shall we say, I guess, a welcome. But we've had people in the past who have foreign chartered accounting certification who have gone into positions like this and have done very, very well. And just think of these opportunities, particularly for persons with skills, their access points. Your resume may not be powerful enough as a newcomer, for example, where you can just step into a paying job for this, but you can go into a volunteering position, prove yourself, get that letter of reference, gain experience not only about the local Canadian cultural scene, but also business practices, the way things are done here, and what will help you position yourself in your career, or even show you that maybe a career switch is indicated. Okay, next slide. Oh,
so I can take over from here, Robert.
Excuse me?
I'll take over from here, Robert. Thanks so much.
Sure, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sean. I'm Manager of Community Engagement at Volunteer MBC. So speaking about some of the great opportunities Robert shared and creating a profile, we know that once you get volunteering, we'd love for people around the community to be able to capitalize on their volunteer experience. So it's not just about volunteering itself, but it's also about what you do with that so that you can increase your chances of getting employed. So for that reason, I have a couple of tips and reminders for people who are thinking about volunteering and thinking about which types of opportunities to pursue, as well as thinking about what to do once you've been volunteering and wanting to try to enhance your employability. So first thing is, you need to consider if, when, and on what basis the organizations can provide some of these things. Okay, and when I say that, I mean you can ask the volunteer supervisor or coordinator at an organization, or when you look at the benefits on volunteermbc.org out of a position description, find out, is there going to be training? Because training is going to only enhance your experience and make it even more worthwhile, that you're going to learn some new skills, or be able to have a more formalized structure to back up some of the skills that you have. Will your organization verify your hours? Are they going to use a tracking system of some kind? Are they going to have an online tracking system? Or will, if you record your own hours, and I always advise people to maintain your own record and log of all the hours that you contribute. Record when you've signed in and signed out. If you keep a log, you can always reach out to Volunteer MBC if you'd like to have a template for a log of your own. But you can keep a log and then ask the organization, can you please sign off on this? Or will you be giving me something later that will indicate how many hours that I've given? Will they provide a reference? In what condition will they provide a reference? Will they give you a reference only verbally and say, okay, you can use my volunteer supervisor as a contact person and put their name down, so that when I go into potentially not a job interview and they ask, oh, do you have any references, that I'd be able to refer to that person? That's very valuable. But will they also be potentially giving you a letter of reference? Or how would that reference work, and how often can you get it? And how much contribution do you have to make prior to being able to access that reference? Social media snapshots. Today's world, show is better than tell. So sometimes you have all of the experience and so forth, but maybe your ability to really convey that to people is difficult, especially when there's not much time to do it. So on your resume, might you have a link to your LinkedIn profile or your own social media channels? Well, why not increase your likelihood of being visible by seeing if the organization would be willing to feature you on social media? Maybe they're planning to anyway. Maybe that's how they engage a lot of their volunteers. So it's very important that you be able to see the types of opportunities and ways in which you can engage. So a photo of yourself potentially volunteering somewhere is a great way to demonstrate that, and you can save that and develop a volunteer portfolio out of your experiences. Letters and certificates. A certificate is only valuable if it's known to people that you have it. So if you get a certificate from volunteering, include that in your resume as well. Mention around that. Many people will write volunteering on their resume, but very few people describe their volunteering experiences well. Sometimes they'll just mention the organization, but they haven't put any explanation behind it around what the skills or accomplishments that they've demonstrated or have had during that volunteer experience. So don't sell yourself short by diminishing your own volunteer experience. If you do volunteer, please do recognize that you want to leverage as much documentation as possible, be it through references, letters, or certificates. And then occasionally there are even awards. There are many different awards that go on where organizations can nominate you, or they may be running their own awards internally. For some of the medium or large size organizations may have their own way of recognizing volunteers with awards or other perks. So be sure to let people know about that, because until you've put something in there, you might say, oh, I received Volunteer of the Month at my organization, twice in a row. That's an accomplishment. Or maybe they've nominated you for a specific award. That would be really meaningful and show that you've done something significant. So leverage those things and ask prior to volunteering if some of those things are possible with that organization. Now, we at Volunteer MBC run our own awards event each year, and it's actually coming up next week, our V Oscars on June 17th at 7 p.m. The tickets are free. We'll throw the link into the chat as well, but we do encourage everyone to register and get an idea of what are some of the amazing things that volunteers have been doing, and also to show support for the existing volunteers. And it could be you in the future that receives a nomination from an organization. So we'd love to have people participate. Plus, there's great entertainment and fun during that event. It's our marquee event of the year, and you can get your tickets at bit.ly/Voskers21 tickets, and I'll put that link into the chat following this. So just in general, speaking back to how important volunteering is, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the great stories we've heard from people. But what I want to highlight for you is that there are some really great opportunities. I do want to also acknowledge some of the questions we've received here in the group here. So some people have asked about volunteering opportunities available in HR. Others are asking about IT, and let me see here. So positions that don't require references. So these are all good questions. So when you come to our volunteer referral service on our website, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to search by the area of interest. That's one area, one point that's important. Volunteer MBC, we actually have for our own organization an HR task force. So that's another volunteer opportunity that's potentially recruits every so often, but that's very important. If people ask if the position doesn't require references, all the requirements are usually listed on a volunteer position on our system. Organizations often will screen. They may have an interview process, but not every organization needs to interview for positions and may not be asking for references. And often another common question is whether a position requires a police reference check as well, which is another level of record check. So that's also something where there's a variety. So you can actually search on our system, and you'll find a lot of positions that don't require those things, and you'll find some that do. And if you do have a reference, that's fantastic. But usually volunteering is a great way to build up your collection of references. And it's always good to have more than a couple, so that you can also cater the type of reference to the type of positions that you end up applying for. Someone else has asked, Syed asked, do you have an opportunities in Halton region also? No, we don't typically have positions that are in Halton region. Some of our organizations are more broad-based and cover a wider territory, and so they would certainly have positions within the organization that might span across Peel, but we generally try to identify positions that are in Peel. However, there are a lot of virtual positions, and some of these are not as geographically limited. There's a lot of volunteer positions. So if you're in Halton region right now and you want to volunteer, you can still volunteer with a lot of the positions that are in Peel because they're virtual. And then to add to that, there is another volunteer center called Volunteer Halton, which you can visit their website, and they also offer some matching services and referral services for people looking for positions specifically in Halton. So there's also Volunteer Toronto, and we partner with these neighbor volunteer centers of ours. And that's why we said at the top we're members of the Ontario Volunteer Center Network. There's many across the province. And then I'd like to keep moving, and then we'll hopefully be able to answer some of these questions. So I'd like to share a few of the impact stories from the outstanding volunteers that we've heard from. So one volunteer said to us, volunteering has made it possible for me to find the work opportunity in my own area of expertise. The entire process of recruitment was professional, yet easy for a newcomer to feel comfortable in finding opportunity in a new country. Volunteer MBC has given me a chance to give back to the community and gain work experience at the same time. It certainly helped me enrich my life with increased self-confidence and sense of achievement. Okay, so that's one good one there. And then another great insight we received, Volunteer MBC gave me the first work experience in Canada. The moment I walked in, it turned out to be a great work environment filled with positive energy and surrounded by friendly, welcoming colleagues who are respectful of each volunteer's unique abilities. This is an excellent opportunity for newcomers to gain exposure and get a first-hand experience of the culture at a Canadian workplace. So these are things that volunteers who have connected with us have said themselves. And so we really believe that it's so important to hear from volunteers' accounts, first-hand accounts of why it makes a difference and how they leveraged it. And so, when we do more of these VolXs, we'd love to be able to hear from some of you on your volunteer experiences. Another one, with the aspiration of becoming a police officer one day, I've been drawn to volunteering over the years in order to better understand my community so that I can create relationships within my community today as well as in the future. I've always enjoyed helping people, and when COVID-19 hit, I quickly saw how it affected everyone in the same way, but also very differently to certain people. This is when I began to look for an opportunity where I could positively help the members in my community while being privileged to do so. So this person was, aspiring to be a police officer. There's even an interesting position. For some of you might not be necessarily aspiring to be a police officer, but last month we had a position where the Peel Regional Police was recruiting what they call auxiliaries, people who are auxiliary officers. They go in and they're not necessarily people who are seeking to get into policing, but they want to leverage their skills to build community relationships, and they go into these sort of non-confrontational, less intense, or rather more casual and friendly ways of interacting with the community, and they do community work as police officers, but representing the regional police as what's called an auxiliary police officer, and they're entirely volunteers. So that position was in our system, and they closed the recruitment for the year, but it'll also recur. So that's something that you can watch out for, but it just goes to show the variety of things that are going on. And here's one more. Moving to a new country can be daunting, coming with lifestyle changes and embracing new culture. The good news is volunteering can be a great way to settle into a new community, meet people, and learn valuable skills. We've been talking about one person, they said, I moved to Canada from Nigeria in 2019. Landing a job as a newcomer in Canada was challenging. As a dentist, moving into my profession requires a couple of board exams and trainings. In order to not stay idle, but gain valuable skills, I decided to volunteer. In my home country, I volunteered for Médecins Sans Frontières, that means Doctors Without Borders, in some rural communities. So I have a couple of experience in volunteering. So we worked on a program with supported families with children who have illness and disabilities, but with little access to good health. With the aid of my career coach here in Canada, I was matched with InfoClin Canada. I was part of a team that was responsible for building an app to help clients with diabetes prevention. So you see how like a person's journey can kind of evolve and change. And so, this person said that volunteering is a great opportunity to prove yourself, others, and the whole society. So those are a few highlights that I wanted to share. Also wanted to invite Gaia from Rotary of Mississauga to share one of the comments that one of her volunteers, a placement student, had commented on. Gaia, do you want to share? Sorry, Gaia, I'm not hearing you yet. You might have done mute.
Is that better?
Yep, now we can hear you.
Okay. I have a placement student. Her name is Fabi, and she came from Sheridan College to me. She started this month with the summer placement program. So she says, the professors and passion for social work remains undeniably one of the greatest gifts shared with us as students. I've gained a better sense of financial literacy, a better understanding of mental health and how to deal with it. She also allows me, to gain experience in facilitation. That experience brought me out of my shell and taught me how to break down walls or obstacles that will stop me from moving forward in my field. I've really enjoyed my placement and the experience that I've gained through Rotary Club Mississauga Malton.
Awesome. Thanks, Gaia. So you can see that there's a whole variety of different experiences people have, and each one kind of creates this scenario where you can truly get a sense that there's such a diverse and unique community with people with different skill sets, but for all of them, volunteering can be really useful. And we've told about these success stories. Sometimes people have difficulty. Sometimes people try to volunteer and they don't have such success. They don't find it that they had an experience that was meaningful. So that's what we at Volunteer MBC are all about, trying to make those experiences meaningful. And for that reason, it's very essential for us that you connect with us and create a volunteer profile and stay connected to us so that we can help you find a good experience that will be the right fit for you. Sometimes it does take more than one try, but that's our commitment, is to try to keep helping people get connected to those opportunities that are meaningful for them. So with that, I'm going to hand the floor back to Alyssa, and we can keep going with our program.
Thank you so much, Sean. Definitely volunteering has a lot of benefits for us as individuals and for our community. As we move forward, I want to just showcase some of our presenters today before we head out into some breakout rooms. So just 1 second, I'm not seeing the slide. So we have 4 presentations today. And the first presenter I'd like to introduce is Arden from Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services. Arden is a highly qualified nonprofit sector expert, has a solid background in program project implementation and community relations, strong partnership in building skills, vast fundraising abilities, and excellent communication skills. He has been working for 10 plus years as a community resource worker at Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services in Mississauga. We also have Ria from Indus Community Services, who is a volunteer services coordinator at Indus Community Services, has a vision to be leaders in building strong and inclusive communities. Indus's mission is to be a community benefit organization focused on building resilient and healthy communities by offering person-centered, anti-oppressive programs and services. Next. Yep. We also have Gaia from Rotary Mississauga Malton, Director of Programs and Community Engagement at Rotary Club of Mississauga Malton and Kingsbridge Matters, the founding member and executive director of Peel Tamil Services Providers Network Information Helpline, has been in the social work field for the past 2 years, and also engages with a variety of groups in Peel and the GTA to work on issues that affect the greater community at large. We also have Dylan from Vita Center, who is the volunteer coordinator and admin assistant at Vita Center, works with a dynamic team of staff and volunteers, shares the same vision to create a supportive environment for pregnant and parenting youth with the goal of empowering them to move forward and thrive, motivated to use his passion to be a positive influence on the lives of those around him. Thank you so much for the presenters coming today. So how this is going to work, we are going to have breakout rooms. Every participant today will have the opportunity to engage in 2 presentations, which will both include a Q&A period at the end. Which breakout room will you go to? I'm not sure, because this is going to be an automatic and random distribution of participants into either room A or B. We will be doing this shortly. So there's going to be 2 periods of presentation. So 2 presenters each period, about approximately 15 minutes each. So we can hear about their services and available positions at their organization. So for the first period, so you want to go to the next slide, please? We're going to have Arden from Polycultural in room A and Ria from Indus in room B. What will happen is we'll automatically distribute, and after each breakout period, we'll come back to the main, and then we will go back for our second presentations, and then we will come back at the end to wrap up and reconvene. So just give it a moment. This is going to start happening just in a second, and we will all be distributed out to the 2 different rooms. Thank you so much to all the presenters for your contributions, and we are looking forward to hearing from you all.
Hi. Hello. Hi, is anybody there that can hear me? I'm in phone meeting. I'm not hearing anything, or I'm not sure if I belong to someone's group.
Everybody. Bit of an echo. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
I can hear
yes.
you.
Okay, I think we're all back together.
Sure can.
So if you want to just continue, Alyssa, I'm going to try to bring you back to the right page here.
Yep.
Oh.
So just before we continue and wrap up, I just want to say thank you so much to all the presenters and everyone who's attended today. I just like to give an opportunity again. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask or anything they'd like to share? Maybe any further questions or inquiries from the different volunteer positions that are available or future positions that are going to come available when some of the COVID restrictions lift and it's okay to do so? Again, feel free to share in the chat or just unmute yourself if you have any questions you'd like to ask any of our presenters or any of the event partners.
All right, this is Henry.
Hi, Henry.
Yeah, so I just want to say finally that thank you, Sean. Thank you, your team, Alisa, and the rest. I just want to say that the services provided by WCG Services to employers and employees are totally free of charge. It comes at no cost, and we are operating remotely at the moment. Our offices are closed until the lockdown is lifted, and so that is it. Thank you, Alisa.
Thank you so much, Henry. So
Yes,
I have a question
can I
here.
just, oh, sorry. Can I just point out something in the chat? And that is an article that has just been posted in Volunteer MBC's blog about the importance of skills volunteering, particularly as it relates to post-COVID-19. It may not be for everybody, but I think if you have a look at it, you'll get an idea of where I think Volunteer MBC is coming from in terms of enhancing or seeing the volunteer sector skill sets and I guess, abilities to identify skills amongst volunteers amplified. And given the, I guess you could say almost like a hybrid emergence, what we're going to see, this becomes increasingly important. So, you know, I commend the article to you. It's certainly a talking point, if nothing else.
Thank you for sharing, Robert. So there is a question here about some of what were the volunteer positions available at room 1. I'm wondering if people are interested, we could maybe, Sean, put together all the available volunteer positions and maybe send it out for everyone if they miss some opportunities, or we can share some now before we wrap up, whatever you think is best.
That's great. And I was sort of mentioning in the other breakout that for all the organizations individually, if you found an organization today, you heard about one that you really were engaged with and interested in, when you go to volunteermbc.org, and I'll try to show this relatively quickly here. So when you go to our main website, you not only can you search for the volunteer opportunities and find them that way, but you know, when you're searching, you have the option for an advanced search. You can search by organization, or you can also find the organizations from the main menu and go to the directory. And from there, any of the organizations you've heard from or others that are on our list here, you can definitely search, string search, or go by alphabetical order, and we can see positions that are posted by those organizations. So certainly we've got like Indus was one of our, they have the mentor for the Massey program and so forth. So you can find positions by organizations. That's another way to find them. But we'll definitely, for all of our presenters today, send you some more information and be sharing the recordings of our sessions here, so that people can kind of review this as they want to, and definitely tell your friends and colleagues, to participate as well and get started with volunteering.
Awesome, thank you, Sean. So just to wrap up, become a volunteer today. We got to hear some excellent presentations and from the different services available of the benefits of volunteering, and not just how it helps us as a community in addressing social issues, but how it also can help us develop skills and help fuel employability and further education. So again, please visit www.volunteermbc.org and create your volunteer profile to get started today. Until next time, we hope to have future volunteer expos. Again, hopefully maybe not virtually, but we will see. So I just want to give one last thank you to everyone who attended and participated today, but especially a big thank you to the presenters and for all of the hard work from the planning team from WCG Services, Sheridan CAPS, and Volunteer MBC. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
I hope
everybody.
everyone has a
Thank you.
fantastic day and week.